Still there.
Right. You're probably live. You're live. Just like that.
I guess I'm live. I was checking my email and everything. All right, so that's a good way to start this one off for the last event of the year. So, welcome. Welcome to OnSet. I am Daniel Norton. This is Dave. Seth's messing with me, which he likes to do over there in the mixer. So, welcome. This is the 21st of December, right? Last one of the year. Next week, they're redoing the space here in Adorama. So, if you guys aren't doing something, come by and help. They need some help moving stuff around. They'd like the help. We're not paying you for it, but if you want to come by. So for those who don't know, we stream online every Thursday that we have one of these, not next week because they're redoing the space, at 12, and we're on YouTube right now. So Adorama TV on YouTube if you guys want to check it out if you can't be here. And yeah, so today we're going to walk through kind of a process of looking at a layout or a concept, and then kind of the thought process behind why we do it the way we do it. I'm cheating a little bit because it's my concept and my shoot and my whatever. You know, oftentimes you're given these things by like an art director or something. But it's a good process if you're starting out in photography, especially, or even if you just want to kind of yourself and do some stuff to give yourself some self-assignments. And one good way to do that is to just look at like an idea. Hey, I want to get into photographing cars, let's say. So how would I shoot a car? You know, and think about how you would do it and walk through the process and then do it, right? I mean, why not? That's how we make portfolio pieces. So we're going to work with a Canon camera today as our main camera, the 1DX. We are tethered into Capture One, so we'll be able to see the stuff pop up as we go. I'm going to mostly work with hot lights, and the reason for that is what I've decided. I'm going to show you this amazing drawing. And I was saying earlier, like when I used to do this all the time, back they used to fax them to you. Is that even going to have? Can you even read it? Yeah. I probably need a Sharpie. I should have used the Sharpie. So you get from this art director, right, a note, and it'll be like, I'm going to do it right now.
You called for a Sharpie. I got you back.
Can you Sharpie it out?
Oh, you're killing me.
So you know your art director, he calls you, right, or she. He's like, I'm going to send you over this thing. We got this job. You know, you got to bid on. Because that's the best part. You have to bid on the job. And then they send you this thing, and you're just like, so essentially, you've got like a basic idea. They have a concept. Hey, we want to shoot. In this case, it's for the Canon C200 camera. We'll say it's like we're doing like more of an editorial shot. We want to show it in action. So the concept is that the camera is here, and somebody's being interviewed. So there's going to be a subject in the foreground. That's why there's kind of two stages to this. So we're going to create kind of almost like a fake BTS shot of the camera in use. Thank you. That's how I should have done in the first place. Right, so you got the camera, see that awesome drawing? You got the person, right? And you got little notes here. So from this, you got to come up with questions usually, right? So I get this and I'll say, oh, that's an interesting depiction of a person. And you'll say, well, hold on, where is this person? Are they in the street, right? Am I shooting this thing in the street and the C200's outside? Is it in a studio? Is it against a wall? And you want to know all those things before you start, because if you bid on this job, assuming that you're going to shoot it against paper in the street, then they're like, no, this is in Times Square, man. Like, you're going to be in trouble because you're going to have all the wrong equipment. You're going to have nothing's going to be right. So you want to ask questions, right? So I've got this. Okay, and do I need a camera operator? Is there going to be a second model involved in this shot, or are we just showing the camera? You know, is this person going to be visible in focus and stuff? Because that will matter too for the modeling agency. Like, how much do we have to pay this person? Like, are they going to just be a blur? That's a lot less money than if they're the main character of the shot. And you're going to ask all these questions based on this design, and then you're going to start to prepare your shoot. So in my case, no, we just want a plain studio. This person just a sit-down interview. We're not going to show the camera operator. It's just basically our subject, and they'll usually tell you, hey, you know, we're looking for female in her mid-20s, blah blah. And then you're going to get some models do a casting. You know, our model is still at the casting. Apparently, she's not here yet. There she is. So. You know, here she is. Welcome. She's a diva. She just shows up whenever she wants.
No.
This is
Sydney.
Sydney.
Hi.
Sydney was, being stalked by the paparazzi, so she wasn't here yet. So yeah, so we have Sydney. So they let's say they asked for somebody like Sydney. Well, not that there's too many people like Sydney. She's pretty unique, right. But we chose her out of the casting. Whatever, make your deal. These are all things you want to do up front. These are things you should think about as soon as you see the picture. As photographers, the first thing we probably do when we see that is we're like, oh, how am I going to like that? But if you don't have these questions asked first, you're not going to be able to budget this thing out correctly. So I've got my budget for my model. I have my lighting. I know I want to make it an interview style shot, so I got a kit of lighting for an interview. Then I got lighting to light the camera itself. I chose to use, I'm going to choose to use constant lights on the camera because I'm already shooting the subject with constant lights. So why not just stay with the same system? It just makes it easier for me. And from there, we're going to essentially just line it up. Now, I kind of put some stuff in place so you guys don't just see us moving a lot of light stands around, and I'll kind of show you what we have. You can sit down first. Essentially, we're going to light Sydney as like kind of like an interview. So you're going to be interviewed by that camera.
Okay.
So I have like a standard interview kind of kit. I've got a little softbox here, which is a low reefer, and I've got, I'm going to sneak behind you there. I've got a pro light over here, which is going to be like a kicker or like a separation light, and then I've got a light here that I'm going to put like a little slash, as it would be on the background. Now the question becomes, can we move her a little bit closer? This is a little bit tight. I should have budgeted for a larger space. I did, and we'll make it work. So this is going to end up being her kind of like a hair light, right? Or kind of separation light. That should be enough space, right? Now, one issue we may have is it might be in the shot here, right? So I think what we want to do is we're going to walk through this and get kind of the concept going, and then we're going to start to actually set our shot up. We kind of did put our camera in place already, so we kind of know where we want to be. The overall plan, though, I'm just giving you the plan up front, and then we're going to walk through it piece by piece, is we're going to light the camera, kind of a backlit shot. They don't need a lot of detail on the camera. They just want to show either a logo or the like, and they want to show the screen. Those are the key points. So we've got an Arri 300 here, and then we're also going to use a dado light, which is a very precise light to light just part of our subject, right? So ultimately, our shot is going to be, you know, this camera, and then with the subject here in the background. So, did that look like anything? No, probably not. It's like I'm making.
The Sharpie needs more dynamic range.
Yes, it does need more. It does need more dynamic range.
Do you want to go with the longer focal length on this one for the?
Maybe, right? That's going to be important, right? So, all right. So we kind of have this roughly in place. I'm gonna take a shot just so you guys can see. So I'm just gonna put this on professional mode. So when you're in professional mode, it just automatically does everything for you. I'm at 2, it's giving me a shot. I probably should have looked, but there it is, right? The reason why I'm shooting this first shot in professional mode is I want to get a feel for my layout, right? I don't want to go through the whole process of lighting this thing really specifically and then have the art director be like, oh, can you move it? You know, so we want to get a general layout. This is why I want a tripod. You know, in this case, the camera's on a tripod. Your product's not going to move. I'm not going to move, right? So let's say we look at this and, well, you know what? The monitor's a little bit, we need some headroom on the monitor. So maybe we'll raise the camera or go back a little bit. They look at the subject in the screen and they say, well, you know what? It's not close enough to her. We want to be a closer shot. So in order to do that, we'll have to change the lens on the video camera, right? Because we have two different things going on here. So we're looking at this as a general concept. Also, we're going to come in here. I mean, obviously, I didn't even look to see where it was focused. We want to make sure this Canon logo is in focus. So we're going to possibly cheat the camera a little bit more like that, too, I think, right? If we can do that. But that's going to give us more background. So let's go to longer lens first. Can we have a longer lens, please? Let's say a 50. Or the 50, does that sound right? Or is that going to be too close? Like a 50, yeah. So they specifically, we probably, realistically, if you were shooting this as a filmmaker, you end up using a zoom lens or something, but they specifically wanted the notes, they wanted a prime lens, so we're going to switch out. Why they wanted it? I don't know, it doesn't matter. That's just part of the logistics that we put into it. Questions so far about the kind of the basic concept? Following it? Easy?
What's your stance on arguing with oh, we want a prime lens. So do you just say, okay, or is there a back and forth in this? Well, you know, if we use the...
If a company comes to me and says, shoot my product and put this lens on it, then I'm going to do that. Why would I say otherwise? They should know better than me.
Oh, well, because it might make life easier, make the whole shoot cheaper and faster, or is it like the...
Well, in this case, so the question is, what would I argue if I thought, like, hey, doing an interview, you'd probably use a zoom lens? No, they're providing me with the camera, right? Or I'm going to tell them, hey, that's fine if you want to use a prime and I have to rent the stuff, it's going to cost you this much. If you rent this, you can give them two options, but Certainly, if they want it shot a certain way, I don't have a problem with it. Yeah, I mean, it's their product, you know. They might say, there might be some things that you would question, right? Possibly, but not how they want their product displayed. That's their... Okay. All right, so what we're looking for now, is that going to be too long now? Ah, good. All right.
Right? If we,
Yeah, because we want to basically clear the... Yeah,
because we can pull the whole set back.
yeah, pull the whole set back.
That's more like what we're looking for, right?
Yep, that's perfect. So now we're getting a better shot in the actual video camera. And again, also that allowed us to cheat the video camera slightly this way, so we can get the logo. Because remember, we want to keep a relatively shallow depth of field, because in this shot, we want her out of focus, and then we want her to be in focus on the video camera, right? So I don't want to shoot really close down for this particular shot, which means that in order to make sure I keep their logo in focus, I got to make sure that I'm either flatter to it. You know, you got to make some compromises. So we're probably going to turn the camera slightly. Ideally, we want the Canon logo lit. That was one of the specifications. And obviously, we're not lighting anything yet. We're just lining everything up, and we just have the camera in professional. Apparently, there's multiple P modes on this camera, which I didn't know. This is my first time ever putting it in P mode. It's P1 and P2. Who knows what that does? Do you know what it does?
Do you think we should go even lower from the side and not get her in the shot, or?
Oh. No, I think we want her in the shot. Oh, I can also zoom, I suppose. Yeah, she's. Oh, I see what you're saying, because she's going to be so far away.
Yeah.
And if she moves this way, then she'll be.
Out of the shot.
What about that? Then we might have an issue with the logo being in focus. So let's try. So now we have a somewhat of an issue here. We want to make sure that I want it to be flat to the camera to keep it more or less keep the logo in focus, but this is actually a better looking shot, and here's where we'll start to figure things out. If this becomes, I want to make sure that at this angle, yeah, we're gonna have to close down. So I mean, it's not focused exactly at the C. Actually, let's manually focus on the C and see if we can get the whole thing in focus. We might have enough depth of field, but if not, I mean, plus right now I think we're at 2.8 or something. We can definitely.
Do you want switch to manual?
Yeah, let's switch to manual. Let's go to well, to keep your exposure in automatic, but switch to manual focus and then focus on the C of the Canon. Or you can go to aperture priority. That's why I asked me that. And go to maybe F4. So why am I not like metering it and changing it every time? Right now the exposure, it's not lit yet, right? I don't really care. So I'm not going to spend time to meter this now. I'm just using the meter in the camera. I'm just using this for layout purposes. That's the only reason all we're doing right now. We're just keeping it really, really simple. And the point here is really going to be just to get, I want to lock myself in.
You need to focus on the screen, right? Or
The screen,
the
yeah, the
screen
screen
is a
and
little
then keep
closer
the
than the
finger.
logo.
Yeah, exactly. The idea is to have the screen in focus and then with the Canon also in focus. So we're going to hope to we need enough depth of field to do that. So we'll figure out what aperture we need to be at. And then not have her too focused in the back, in the background.
So if you did have her focus it with something like Photoshop,
Okay, well, that's camera shake, but I mean, would you blur her in Photoshop? I mean, you could, I suppose. Yeah, sure. I mean, we'll try to do it in camera. But yeah, I mean, I don't think that's going to be necessary. But yeah, if I mean, the only time I would ever do that would be if they originally said make her be in focus, and then we shot the whole day, and it was going to cost a fortune to reshoot it because then maybe. But I mean, you're here, definitely do it mechanically. Yeah, it'll just look, better.
This 5.6 focused on the screen.
Yeah, our Canon's sharp-ish. Our screen's sharp, so 5.6 should work for us. She's blurry enough, right, for us. You can also use a tilt shift lens, would be the other way to do it if you really wanted to funky it up. But then it starts getting a weird look to it, so unless you want that effect, I wouldn't go for that. So we'll say 5.6 is a good place to be. So now we know we're shooting at 5.6, right? Remember, we're shooting a still life, so we can control our ISO, and we can control our aperture to where we want it, and then our shutter speed we're just going to adjust based on our lighting. So we're locking in 5.6 because that gives us the depth of field we want, We're locking in ISO 100 because that gives us the highest quality. And then we're gonna now switch to the idea of lighting this thing up. So let's light her up first. So again, we're gonna light her up like a standard interview lighting. So we have a little Rifa here. I'm gonna move it in, and actually it doesn't matter to me, or they've said it doesn't matter if some of these lights are visible in the shot because we're photographing a set. We don't want the lights that are lighting our camera in the shot because that would break the reality. But so in other words, I can put this light in the shot if I want, if it looks better, so we can play around with that. If it is in the shot and you can read logos and stuff, that's where we might have to take things off because obviously we don't want to advertise for Lowell or this piece of tape that's on there. All right, so I'm turning this on. Okay, cool. We're probably going to have to use the inverse square law here because we know where we want to be to keep everything kind of balanced. Oh, that's not terrible. Actually, can we kill these? We're going to kill the house lights, so if you're looking online, all of a sudden it's going to be like mysterious. So we can actually see what we got here. Yeah, all right, good. So, actually, there's no way you can see that feed, right? No, definitely not.
No.
Okay. Okay. Okay, that's not. Oh, there you go. Now you can see it. She's just too bright. We'll have to adjust. Okay, so secondary light is I'm going to do like a little kicker light. I may not even light the background separately. We'll see. It's bright, keeping you warm. So we're doing a little kicker. How's that look? Am I blinding you guys out there? I like to do that. I like to blind the audience. And then we'll just throw this third light on the background, and then we'll kind of adjust them as we go. See, I'm actually thinking that's hitting her a little bit, so I might be able to get away with. No, it's not hitting her. There we go. Is that behind her?
You have to angle it a little more, the other direction. Yeah, and then tilt up a bit.
Up. Right there. Okay. That'll get us roughly where we need to be. Okay, so now we're, yeah, that looks like an interview. So now we have a basic interview shot set up for her, right? There's a few things you could do here. We could, and it may not be a bad idea to do this, we could record video, right, on the camera, on the video camera in 4K, right? We record 4K video. We maybe even make our shutter speed higher than it should be because it won't be good video, but it'll make it sharper. Then we can use one of those screen grabs to drop in to make this picture even sharper if we need to, right? So that's something you might need to do. We're gonna try to get it all in camera because, you know, that's how Daniel likes to roll, but that's not terrible. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna adjust our exposure slightly, I think, to make this a little bit too bright in here. Right?
Yeah, you can see this is also too.
Yeah, so that's too hot and she's a little hot. So we're gonna, some things are gonna be, we can actually adjust our aperture on our lens, this lens, in order to get her brighter and darker, but this background light is a little hot, right? The low light. So I'm just gonna back it up. I don't think we have a dimmer, so. I wouldn't normally use a dimmer on this type of thing if I was actually shooting an interview, but for this purpose, it would be totally fine. Walk to the shot. Okay, cool. All right, so we're dropping our exposure. Oh.
Oh, interesting.
We changed it a lot to see if you guys are paying attention.
It did not carry out the settings over. That's interesting.
Huh.
What was the previous shot setup?
Oh. Yeah. Okay, so this was 5.6, 1/20th of a second at 100 ISO, right?
So then 2/10 from there would be here.
Yeah. There we go. Still too dark. We'll bring it up a little bit. You're at 30th. Wow. That changed a lot.
That's 210.
It's only 2/10.
Yeah, it's only from a 20th to a 30th. That's Fernando. Fernando did that to my computer. I blame him. All right.
This says it's
Well-
a 30th
Well,
of a second.
well, let's go back to a 20th where it was too bright, and let's change the aperture on the lens, on this lens. That's the easiest way to do it.
We're 5, 6, 30th. We're actually the exact same. Oh, I see. No?
Yep. Cool. Oh, hold on.
That's the wrong.
That's what happened.
Where's here?
It's a third of a second.
Yeah.
You have to look in the right spot if you want to know how to make things work. Over here, by the way, is what the camera's set at. This is the camera setting.
Okay, this is
Down at the bottom here, which is hard to see, is what the actual shot is. Okay, that's good on her. What's
We're
interesting,
still a little bit-
yeah, this looks too bright. So what we're gonna have to do is, in order to make that less bright,
we can try barn doing it a bit more.
yeah, I'm gonna just pinch it down a little bit. Yeah, go ahead and pinch that down. She looks happy. She's like, why are you lighting me up like that? What's going on? This is very strange. I didn't know it was an interview. So we're basically getting this thing lined up. And you can see now, too, by the way these things are lit up, that the camera's basically a silhouette. So this is kind of what we want, right? We're setting ourselves up to shape the camera the way to our own vision.
What size the softbox is?
So this is a Lowell Rifa 44, which is 16 inches, I think, or 14 inches. They make several sizes, 44, 55, 66. 16's right? Nice. Look at that. These are great, by the way. If you do any kind of like video work or you just want to work with hot light, I really like these Rifa lights. They're super compact and they produce a really nice kind of clean light. What do you mean by clean light? So yeah, they produce like a clean light. Okay, got it?
It's much better. We're technically not clipping anywhere in there.
Yeah, so we're not clipping. It looks good on the screen. And we're gonna, now the only problem I have, even though I was told in the briefing, hey Daniel, because it said that right in the briefing, hey Daniel, it's okay to have some of the set lights in the shot. I'm not loving the way place that light is. So we're working with a lot of variables here. This is what's gonna happen to you when you're on set. Like this light right here might be distracting. So I'm gonna keep an eye on that thing. So we may have to end up moving it, and if we move it, then we're gonna have to mess around more. But for now, we'll leave it there. What we're gonna do is I wanna silhouette this thing out with some light now though. I wanna give it like a rim, and for that I think we're gonna use the RE300. Right? So we're gonna take the RE300 and we're basically gonna blast it this way. Just to give us like a nice kind of shape of the light from the back. Plus all the lights today will be pointing right at you guys, because you know. Questions so far? Make sense? Okay, working through it, doing our thing. Normally you would just drink coffee while the assistants do all this, but you know, I'm gonna do it for you. That might be true, I don't know. I don't know how you do it. Any questions online? Cool. All right, so we have our RE300, we're gonna plug it in. Brand new power strip here. We'll see if Adorama burns down. Boom, there we go. Set this nice and lit up. Yeah, we may need our scrims for this, but we'll see. Yeah, we're not messing around. Just gonna take a shot and see what it looks like, just before he gets it fully. Ah, yeah, that's not terrible. I wouldn't mind getting a little more light on the lens, not the lens of the camera I'm shooting with, but the lens of the C200. Yeah, a little more wraparound. I should also point out that our white balance right now is not set, just in case you're curious about that. Right now, our white balance is set on flash. We're going to be using tungsten light, so we're going to want to set it to tungsten. But I'll actually do a custom white balance as well, which actually we'll talk about that when we're getting this in place, so I don't forget to talk about it. This is why in the part of the studio where like you forget where you put the thing that you had. It's right there. So what you definitely want to do, oops, sorry. I mean, you should try to do this no matter what. I mean, whenever you have the chance to do color stuff. Yeah. This is a color checker classic from X-Rite. But this is going to be to set our custom white balance. So the concept here is once you get your exposure down the way you want it to be, you're going to make a custom white balance based off of this. Usually one of the middle gray ones is the best place to click. But really any of the white to black even you could do. You want to do this and you want to keep the shot that you did it with. The reason for that is because later on in color separation and stuff, they may want to refer back to this to check all the rest of the colors. So this is super useful. You'll see probably, I don't know, a lot of times you'll see me from just doing portraits. I have one that's just gray, white, and black. That's also very good. But if you're going to do any kind of advertising work, splurge for the color one. It's going to give you more options. Also, there's the Passport, which is a little baby one, is also very nice as well. And these are made by X-Rite. So we want to make sure that we photograph this. We're just going to put it in the light of our subject. And right now our subject is the camera, right? So I'm not going to do it yet. I want to do it when the camera's lit. But we definitely want to make sure we do it.
Did you already pull out the?
Scrims, I did not.
We're gonna need that.
Seth, where is the scrim kit, if you do not mind? That blue bag. The Ari black.
Where it'd be
Oh, actually, is it up?
It's up here.
Yep, there you go. Cool.
and those lights.
Yep. Your job is to make sure I do this. Do not let me forget that.
Okay.
You'll be fired if you don't let me forget. Okay. Yeah, so we're going to put a scrim in this backlight because, again, we want to control our light to give us the exposure we want. But when you're working with tungsten lights, throw a dimmer on it, it will affect the color temperature. I'd mentioned on the background, I was like, well, I wouldn't really mind if I use it there because that's going to be whatever. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't be exacting. Any of the light on the camera, I want to be as neutral as possible. So we don't want to mess with the dimmer here. Is it smoky in here? You see smoke in the air? No?
I think the lens is just so filthy. That we're getting crazy flare.
Cool. How's that?
Can't get you what you want.
Okay. Can you get me what I need?
Without it being in the shot.
Oh, interesting.
So.
Okay.
If you want, I can put it in the shot.
Yep.
And we can get that to happen.
All right, let me look. Oh, so you can't get on the lens.
Yeah, take a shot. And
Let's take a look at it. We want to get, ideally, we'd like to get it on the lens.
yeah.
What about opening the barn door? That's not going to work?
Nope. Yeah,
Okay.
it's nothing to do with that. It's got to be.
It
It's
needs
got
to
to
be
be like
there.
here, basically.
Okay, can we boom it out?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that. We got a sandbag?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, we'll do it. It's important on every set to make sure you have no room to walk. Like it's, yeah, I'll get this. Do you think you can move out from there or from there?
From here. I'll be able
Okay,
to do
so
it.
we'll just give you the arm.
What budget or like for a project like this?
Okay, so as far as like how to bill for these kind of things, it kind of depends on a few things. Number one, you want to consider any of your expenses. That's the obvious thing, right? Like, hey, I got to pay a model. I have to pay for the rental of the studio. I have to rent equipment. You know, your own kind of a base rate of, hey, I don't want to work for less than X amount of dollars per day. But then what really comes down to play when you're doing advertising is what it's going to be used for, right? The mistake that a lot of people make when they're doing work is they're thinking, hey, you know, I'm coming from portraits and I charge somebody $300 for a portrait and this is basically a portrait. It's $300. No. If Canon, which is a huge international company, is going to use this in all their advertising, it's not a $300 shot, no matter what, right? You have to think about how it's being used. The value of the shot is what's important. So you need, I mean, it takes experience and work. That's why you assist and you learn. You can also reference if you don't have any, if you have no clue. It's the first time you're ever doing it. You can't hear me? Cutting out? Sound's cutting out? So you could reference a stock photography website, like look for a similar shot and put in the things. 1 million magazine covers and see what the stock agency would charge you. And you want to think around there. Typically, assigned work is going to cost them more than stock, so you just put those numbers together. I'm cutting out a bit. Okay. Should we just switch to the left? Do we think that's the problem? Okay. I'm just going to switch mics. Okay, well, all right, good. That was the class on how to put on a lavalier microphone. So hope you guys pay attention. All right, so we switched mics. This one doesn't do anything now. And hopefully that won't cut out. Let me know if you guys hear it cutting out. Good. That's better. Nice. We'll get over there too, or no? We got no choice. We can only get one or the other.
Do what?
Well, we'll have to use another light, I guess, because we still want that edge too. So we want the whole camera to be still lit. So that's nice. That's perfect. We got to bring another light in.
Yep.
So whenever you're figuring something out, right, make sure you budget for enough extra equipment, right? Here's the thing. You might think, hey, this is a 2-light shot. Get an extra light, right? Make sure you're always ready, because time is money, and models cost, everything costs, right? So we have our whole lighting kit here. We'll probably break out
Let me do 150.
a 150. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So we'll break out a 150. We're going to light up this back part. So what's happening here is we finally get the light on the lens the way I like it, over here. But now we lost that cool light over here. So we'll throw another light in there. We'll be done. Super simple. Not a big deal.
Here we got the stand right here.
Cool. Nice. Fernando, could you get me a lens hood for the 24-70? Yeah. My lens hood is, all right, I'll be honest, it fell off the balcony. No. I owned the lens hood for about 4 seconds, and now it's gone. So we're going to get one, because I have a feeling we might end up getting flare.
They're asking if you use a reflector from the lens to just bounce for the lens.
Okay, so could I use a reflector here instead of using a light for what we're about to do? It won't give you the intensity that I want. I want my rim to be as close as possible to be equal around. So if light has to come past my camera, then bounce back with the reflector, it won't be as bright. If that's all you had and you need to make it work, sure. I mean, it really depends on what you're doing. I have the equipment. Don't feel like, what I should say is, budget yourself enough time when you're doing bigger projects, like advertising projects. Don't think, hey, I can light a thing in 5 minutes. This is a job. Like, this is an important shot. We're going to take our time. We're going to make sure we have enough lights, and we'll set them up. There's no reason to think you can only use X number of pieces of light. If you need more pieces, this is what you do. But yeah, I mean, a reflector is a good option in some cases. I think in this case, it won't be enough light. Nice. So now we have that. Okay. Well, the other cool thing that you can do if you're shooting tethered, which I could have done all along, is I guess because the camera's, there we go. There we go. All right, so this is good. Like we can see, we're getting those nice bright highlights and everything. Right. It's a smidge hot, I think, but yeah. And see, now the camera's starting to come together, and now my original thought that I had, I'm agreeing with my first thought. I'm not loving that I can see that backlight, the one that's giving the slash. You see it right here? It's becoming now more and more obvious to me because now I've got the camera siloed, right? So it's a problem. So I'm going to look at it and I'm going to say, well, I got to solve that. We kind of like how she looks, but there's more than one way to make a slash. I could put it on the other side, right? I mean, there's a lot of things we can do. In fact, I think we will do that. I'll just move to the other side, right? That makes the most sense.
Yeah.
And said, I was thinking you could also go down and go shoot up with it, but moving it to the other side is probably the simplest solution. So,
What about the,
yeah. It even has a long enough cable, I think. So
I don't think we see the hair light, so that's good.
yeah, no, I think it's just the one. I'm gonna sneak behind you. Okay, good. I think we should be able to put it over here. No, you're good. It's all good. Okay. Oh, good. The dog's here. Did we tell you there was going to be a dog in this shot? All right, so that's probably roughly where it needs to be. Take a peek. Yeah, we'll have to mess with it, distance and stuff now because I moved it. We're just going to move to the other side. Again, there was no specific put a slash behind her, so I don't have to worry about that. Just make it look like an interview. So, you know, that I'm got a lot more freedom there. I also see these down here. These are from the C-stand. And since it's not super obvious where it's coming from, you can leave it or not. I don't want to have to move the light because it's the way I like it. So this is one of those, yeah, you're going to be the Photoshop guy because you asked me a Photoshop question. That's the kind of thing I might just take out later because that's nothing, right? You want to always weigh it against like how much effort it's going to be to do that versus, you know, not. And in this case, because there's a table there and we have to move the whole set over. Oh. That's interesting. It's taken on an unusual shape. Why is that?
The angle.
The angle of the... Give us better hands than I do for that. I'm burning my fingers, my delicate fingers. Okay, that's looking pretty good though, actually. I'm liking the way it looks. Of course, right now, I mean, she looks great, of course, because we have the camera white balanced. Right, but of course, everything else in the set is too warm. So we're gonna definitely do a custom white balance. In fact, just to show you now, what's gonna happen is if I flip this over to tungsten, well, I gotta do it here, I guess. If I flip this over to tungsten, right, then the set will look correct, and the camera looks all sleek. She looks too blue, so we're gonna have to, you know, mess around with that a little bit, but that'll neutralize it. Yeah, like that. Cool, that actually looks pretty nice, I think. I like the little softbox over here. The background looks pretty cool. So look right at the camera like you're being interviewed, Sydney.
Yes.
And let's just take a shot to make sure that all that seems right. Yeah, there he is. She's happy. That's pretty cool, right? We got more or less what we're looking for. We haven't done the one thing that, of course, the client wants, which is light up their logo, right? Right now we just see a silhouette of a camera. So now we're going to light the camera itself. So all that was like prepping ourselves to get to the camera. And for that, again, they're good with the idea of kind of a more basic shot, like a silhouette of the camera, but they want to make sure that their logo shows up. So in order to make that happen, we have... We've got the dado light here. It was fitted with a barn door, but I'm going to put the. We'll turn the light on. So this little guy here, 150 watts, tungsten head, a spherical glass. We have a projector for it. We're going to be able to really control the light much more. Actually, let's start with the barn doors just to show them what the difference would be. So it has regular barn doors, and even with the barn doors, it's still pretty precise because these dados are really known for that. Also, the red dot. Where's that Leica? That's a red dot. Did you ever notice that there's always weird stickers on all your equipment? I don't know how it happens. No? Am I the only one that has stickers on their equipment? I guess so. What about Crystal Hunk? Hold on, is that on me a 7? No? Okay. Looks like it. There's paparazzi in here for people online that can't see the... All right, so what's cool about the dado is that...
Asking if you could use a custom white balance to get the whole image correct, including the second screen.
Okay, so the question is, could you use a custom white balance to get the whole image correct, including the screen? Not really, because the screen is actually white balancing against the light for us. So it's actually already applying a white balance. So if I put my custom card in there and I white balance to it, the screen will still be off from the rest of the light. We could probably custom the screen against it, but it's simpler to just set the screen, I think, it's set to tungsten now, right? We'll make it closer, but I think ultimately we'll do like what I said at the beginning. We'll shoot some frames with the C200 in 4K, and then we'll be able to use that and we'll insert it. You know, that'll be the cleanest way to do it.
If the camera manufacturer wanted the camera seems small, would you use a longer focal length and also have a deeper depth of field for the whole camera in focus?
Would a longer focal length make the camera seem smaller? It could, yeah, sure, because it'll crunch it down. Is the question, but also more. Yeah, we could close down. We had to make a decision, right? They wanted the person out of focus, and they only specifically wanted the logos to be sharp. So, to me, I'm fine shooting it the way I did. If they were like the whole side of the camera has to be lit, we have to see all the controls, and we want the person out of focus, I would need more space for sure. So yeah, for sure, you'd have to do that.
They're a little confused about the white balance swap. They're asking if you just use the calibration card. They missed it.
Okay, yeah. So, no, I haven't used the calibration card. I'm sorry, I just switched it to tungsten so you guys would get an idea. Let's do that. The reason why I didn't do a calibration card yet is because with the product's not lit. I want to base my custom white balance off of this light, because this is the light that's lighting the camera. So once I get this light in place, I'll do the custom white balance. So basically, we have just barn doors on there now. But yeah, let me go back to tungsten so it doesn't confuse people. Sorry about that, guys. So if I go here, shot is there. If I go here, and I go, we originally had it on flash, which is where I normally leave everything. Right, and it looks like that. Okay, and she looks more or less correct in the screen because the screen is white balancing against her.
They're saying about doing the 4K shot.
Right, so I'll talk about that in a second. So I'll go over it now. So here we are, we have this camera, right? And we're using the view screen from the camera. And the camera, of course, is going to do, in fact, we could use the camera's custom white balance if we wanted to be crazy accurate. Let's say if we were selling the shirt that she's wearing, but that doesn't matter. She just needs to look good. So we're gonna white balance on the Canon C200, which is a 4K video camera. We're gonna shoot some 4K video with it, right? With the proper white balance. Now, what you might do is crank your shutter speed up a little bit. We can do that on this camera, probably. Normally, with your shutter speed on video, you want the speed to be twice your frame rate. So if you're shooting at 24 frames, you want your shutter to be like 48th of a second. If you bring your shutter up, it will actually create kind of bad video because it'll look a little choppy, but it'll make sharper pictures. So what you can do to get a sharp picture is we can raise our shutter speed up, shoot some 4K video, which is not going to be usable at all as video, but those individual frames will be sharp. Then in post, our editor can drop that frame in on the screen. So that's the simplest way to do that, and probably the thing to do. This 4K is basically 8 megapixels roughly, right? So that's going to be plenty big enough to fill that without worry about the size of it. Hold on to that, else I'll forget it. The other way to do it is you could adjust this screen or gel or whatever to get the screen to where it needs to be, but I think that would be way more effort than it needs to be. And the other option of shooting video gives us more choices, but we'll do both. I mean, and you would do it while you're shooting the stills, by the way, because obviously the two pictures have to match. I guess I should point that out. That's important. You would shoot the video while when you make the still, right? Does that make sense? Because if you don't do that, then, right, the still won't. Right, she'll be like this and blurry. I mean, then you'll have an Easter egg on your head. All right, questions? Where are we at now? Yeah, did we get a shot?
Waiting for the lens.
Sorry. All right, let's turn off the overheads. All right, so this is just a barn door trying to light the side of it.
They're asking how it got this complicated. Like, is this something they should expect on these type of shots? Or?
Yeah, I mean, so how did it get this complicated, right? Yeah, that's life, right? That's kind of no, but that's a great question because unless you're being sarcastic, then it's a sarcastic, funny thing. Some things are complicated, and this is why I chose this. I mean, you may get an advertising job that's literally just a person sitting there who gets a plain background, but then it would be a portrait lesson, right? I'm doing something more complex, so you guys will see what can go into these things and things you have to think about, right? Here I am on set, and I know that I'm gonna have to do that. So when I was originally given this project, I thought to myself, hey, I'm gonna have to factor in retouching to put that screen in later. Like, and of course you're gonna tell them that too. This is just the way to do it. If they were like, absolutely not, it's against Canon's policy to do that, then we could match the white balance if we want. It's just going to take longer. So it kind of comes down to whether or not what you want to go through. Because what we would need to do ultimately is make her look really, really warm on the screen and then white balance back. We could actually probably try. This is like you can do Kelvin in this.
Yeah.
We could probably crank the Kelvin to let's just not do it yet though. Let's just do one thing at a time. So this is just the barn door. And honestly, this is not terrible. It's not terrible if we wanted the whole thing lit up. Right? We need to light the lens too at this point though, because now the camera's lit up and not the lens, and that looks a little bit weird. Also, it then creates this. That's like more of a brochure shot. It's a little bit less dramatic than what I think we want to do. But actually, just for the heck of it, let's open this barn door up and get the lens lit up too. Why not? Because let's say we do this just to kind of see where the light is, and the client's like, I like that. Extra shot, charge them for that.
They're asking why you went with tungsten and not new LEDs.
Okay, so why did I choose to use the lighting system that I have for this? That's a good question. Let me deal with that picture in a second. So I knew ultimately when I was given the project to do this shot and I needed to light up just part of the image, I knew the tool that I like to use for that is this data light. Like I knew that, right? That's where I based everything else off of, right? So because I'm using this, and I have this is my tool, right? I use tungsten for everything else just to make my life easier, right? I could have used flash for that part of it and used LEDs for this part or whatever, but using all the same kind of light just sometimes makes life a lot easier. So that's the main thing. You could use LEDs. If you're gonna use LEDs for any kind of constant stuff, make sure they're good quality because they typically are not gonna render color correctly. And you wanna get the best color possible when doing advertising. So I tend to shift towards tungsten for that because I have it. You could pull this off with flash as well, except for her being lit up as a interview, right? You could do that. It just would be you wouldn't necessarily have the same tools. Like most people that shoot flashes don't have like barn doors and stuff, which is what you use for interviews. So if you had that stuff, then yeah, you can certainly do that. Okay, good. So problem here is the whole side of the camera's lit up, half of it's out of focus, right? So if I decided I like this as my image instead of the original concept, I definitely need to close down, right? Because we don't want the whole camera lit up and then like it's a big, blurry mess over here, right? That doesn't look good. So if you're gonna take a shot like this, you're gonna want to close down the lens. And if you do that, then you may get the person that's your interview subject too much in focus. You're gonna have to play around to see what you like better. Let's just say for instance, just because I'm here, I want to get a little more in focus, so I go to F16. So F16 is 3 stops.
You want to just adjust the ISO there?
Yeah, we'll just adjust the ISO just for a second. I wouldn't normally do that, but that's 3 stops, right? So that'd be 800. I think that should be right. I can take the picture from here. Yeah, maybe she's getting bored. Wow. Wow, I caught you being bored. See that? Story of my life. Now we're getting a little, and even then the lens is not completely crispy, but we're getting there though. So you could do that, but see how she's getting sharper and sharper in the background? I don't know that I want her that sharp. Maybe you guys like that. Do you like her more sharp? You don't get a choice. If suddenly you decide you want it more sharp, you would just do that. I mean, I wouldn't change my ISO, I would change the shutter speed at this point if I was gonna do that. But we're not gonna do that. This is what happens. Mall's up all night partying. No. All right, so we're going back to where we were. There we go. She's trying to justify it. All right, so we don't like that the whole thing's lit up because it's out of focus. So the plan is to light just part of it. And even with barn doors, which are pretty precise tools, it's really difficult to do. So we're going to use the projection attachment. This is not a bottle of, what's that booze that comes in like the nice velvet? You know what I'm talking about. This is a projector. So this is basically the projector for the data light. It allows us to do a variety of things, including focus the light down to a smaller circle.
The online is saying, brilliant shot, Daniel.
Yes, this is life. By the way, if models do things, take pictures that we can use that against them when they're famous. This is like part of the, yep. Someday she's gonna be really famous and I'm gonna be like, yeah, that's Sydney, man. I had her come one time for one of my things and she was yawning the whole time. No. I can't believe she just got that Oscar. All right, so we can do this a lot of different ways. We've got the iris. If you want to make like a James Bond movie. So this will allow us to get a really super small point of light. So since we're going to try to light up, I guess, either the Canon or the C200, we can use this for that. Slides right in there. I think it's open, or else it's closed. There we go. You're going to get it in there, and you're going to, I'm going to turn this off so Dave can see better. And we're going to just throw a little tiny bit of light. I'll try to not be in the way. I'm probably getting more in the way when I do that. You probably can't see it. Oh, there's a lot of lens flare. It's very, see, look at all the mist in here. People looking online are probably like, what's going on in there? It's like we're having a party. We got DJ in the back. So what's going on? You gonna do anything for the holidays? Yeah? Yep. Don't let me forget. Thank you. Cool. Oh. Wow. That's actually, all right. Wow, Dave, well done. First try. Like he's done this before. All right, so. Okay. All right.
They can't see that. 'Cause
Can't see it?
they can't see that. There you
Yeah, you can see it. All right.
go. No, because of this. I know. Program.
Oh, you can't see it?
They can't now.
All right. I don't know anything. I'm not going to say anything. All right, we lit up the logo, right? We're going for drama. This is like C100 in the dark, right? So this is our shot. Dave made it look too easy. You can also, so we'll do something extra. We always do extra when we have a chance. Right? We have time for extra? Oh, yeah, we're flying. By the way, never do this quickly. This is way too quick. With all the money Canon's paying for this should be like a 3-day job. All right, no, what we need to do is we need to get a white balance. We actually didn't do anything with this light, right? We didn't dim it or anything. So straight up tungsten white balance should be total.
I've dimmed it actually a little bit.
Oh, you did? Okay, so because I want to make sure that I get this light as my key, even though he's gonna have to open up the iris so I can get this thing lit up. So go to open the iris up. We want to light that. We want to light this thing as best as possible. We'll make a photo of this. It's probably my hand shaking. Okay, it's a smidge on the bright side. We close the lens down a little bit. Hold on, do one more. You want this to be as exposed properly as just open it up and then maybe just go a little slower on the shutter speed. You want to get a good exposure on your color card. It's very important.
Apparently Gavin did this technique with a poster too.
Oh yeah, well, go Gavin.
Raise it up.
Yeah, you definitely can, there we go. You definitely can, if you don't have things like snoots and stuff, you can certainly wing it. I probably wouldn't use, a piece of roll of toilet paper or something if I was on an advertising job, but you could certainly do that. I mean, the concept is the same. There we go. All right, so now this is gonna be our white balance for the future shots. Dave's gonna get it lined up again. We'll make a shot. You kind of look good blue though. Blue works for her, but she likes that. All right, so we have that, right? That's what we wanted. Let's say we want a little bit of detail on the camera. Do we have any more lights? If you have more lights, you should always use them, right? Let's do two things because we have time. Let's see if we can get her screen to be more orange so we can get it to look more natural. So we'll get it as close as possible. The other thing I might do is bounce another light over here just to fill in if we want a little detail, some deets. Or we could use Seth's LED because Seth loves for the LEDs. The weird LEDs. Did you bring your light, Alan, today? Because I could have used it. It's even tungsten balance and everything. I would have used it during the demo. All right.
You're gonna bash my demo
I'm not
on live
bashing
stream?
it.
You're gonna bash my demo on live stream?
I'm not bashing it. Actually, if you're not in New York, you miss out a little bit because Seth doesn't never live stream, but he did a demo, what was that, 2 days ago? Monday, where he just used all kinds of crazy lights and built a set.
My Instagram and see the shot.
Yeah, go on to Last X Witness and you'll check it out.
Yeah.
But basically, he was showing how you'd mix different light sources together, which we're not doing today. I'm using all the same light source because I like it to be easy. And then he invited people to bring their own lights. And Alan brought a light.
They're asking if I sell the poster tube for $3.
Yeah, you could do it.
Sell the reflector.
If you do the poster tube idea, make sure you paint it black, put some tinfoil inside, sell that thing. So Gary Fong did it. Yeah, cinefoil is the other way. But yeah, any way you can do it. The reason why this is so good and the reason why it's professional and the reason why it costs money is because it's so precise. But certainly if you were trying to shoot something like this, you were like, oh man, how am I going to just get one little spot? There's all kinds of ways to do it. You could take a piece of black card and poke a tiny hole in it and just shoot the light through that too. That'll also make a circle of light. There's lots of ways to make a circle of light. In this particular, not making any excuses. You should use good gear if you're working in advertising. No, that's not bad. There you go. That's Dave doing it right. So we got her there, right? Now he basically, so what he did was,
I shifted it to white, daylight white balance.
yeah, he shifted it to daylight. Boom. Now, so remember, if she's lit by tungsten and we set the camera to daylight white balance, what happens? She goes super, super orange, right? Then when we custom white balance away the tungsten on the scene, she goes neutral again, right? Does that make sense?
They're discussing if this wasn't digital age, would you be doing Polaroids?
Yeah, if this was not digital, you would 100% be shooting Polaroids, definitely. Polaroids were the best. That's what made me drink so much coffee, because it took 2 minutes to develop that thing. You're standing there, you're like, what am I gonna do? Gotta do something. You're right on the back of them. Oh well. Back in the day, I feel like the C200, she might be a smidge overexposed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay,
maybe
Dave's now manipulating the camera. By the way, this is another thing that kind of, for me, works really well because I have Dave. But if you're doing a project like this and it requires if you're photographing any kind of technology or piece of equipment, could be a drone or a motorized car, camera, or anything like that, make sure you hire somebody or the company brings somebody that knows how to work the piece of equipment, right? If Canon just sent the C200 to my studio and I was photographing it, change that stuff, I would have been there for an hour trying to figure it out. So, hey, listen, that's part of my budget. I need a camera op so I can actually, they're like, but you're not really shooting video. Well, you know what though? What if the camera needs to be operated? So that's important. So keep those things in mind. Cool. All right, he's making some adjustments to get a better exposure on Sydney. She's over there thinking about her life.
That's probably
Yeah, that's,
what's her level relative to
yep. So Dave's looking at the numbers at the top there, the different color channels to make sure that the exposure is proper.
oh, we are almost right.
Yeah, I mean, she can be a smidge darker on the video. As long as she's correct on the video screen is all I care about.
We're slightly brighter on her here. than
Yeah,
we
which
are
is fine.
here.
I think I like that. But if you don't like that, so we could actually change the exposure on the camera to I guess with ISO is how you would do it, right? If you want to do that, you could actually make her the same exposure, but I don't think I care about that.
We're actually right about it.
Yeah, it's close.
Good, yeah.
She's also a slightly different color,
Yeah.
just because with the manipulation of the screen. But basically, she looks the way I want her to look. She's actually looking at herself. It's very Inception. That was that movie, right? No, that has nothing to do with it. Was not the one where you were inside, you would know of your dream?
Yeah.
Okay. So I knew what the movie was about, but it has nothing to do with what I'm doing. Okay, questions, because I think we kind of got this. Yes?
Okay, I need to understand.
Uh-oh.
You are using 5 light with different branches equipment. How you get only one color?
Oh,
of the
okay.
light?
That's a good question. So I'm using 5 lights, right? And I'm using 3 different brands of equipment, right? How am I getting all the same color? Number 1, they're all tungsten and they're professional.
All tungsten.
This is the reason why you pay for equipment and the reason why I lecture about that a lot. If I went out and I got some off-brand, let's say LED lights, because those are the cheapest thing people usually buy, from 3 different companies, they probably wouldn't all be exactly the same color. It's just hard to get them to match. Tungsten is so, right? If you get a good tungsten fixture and you put a bulb into it, it will be 3200 Kelvin. You're basically there. So they're all the same kind of light bulb. Well, more or less. They're all the same type of light bulb. Just like all flash would be the same. Brand isn't really relevant unless you're getting like cheaper stuff that can be a little bit inconsistent. Right? Questions, Fernando? Nothing? Okay. All right, I'm just waiting for Dave to get the color perfect so we can end this with a perfect shot. By the way, you're done for the year, right? Seth's got nothing for you. And this is my last demo of the year. We're not going to be live next week on the 20th, because maybe you should go live just showing the space being torn down.
Maybe on Instagram Live.
Maybe on Instagram Live. Every Monday, check this out, there's a new thing. At 3 o'clock, stop what you're doing. I don't know what you're doing at 3 o'clock on Monday. You know, whatever's going on, I don't care. Seth's got a new show, I guess we'll call it, on Adorama. I don't know if you call it a show on Instagram. It's a new ground where he's going to run around and do crazy stuff for 10 minutes. So take your 10 minutes. And at 3 o'clock, it's awesome. So check that out. Make sure that when you're watching these things, if you don't mind putting some comments in the bottom, let me know if you like what we're doing, if you want to see more of this, less of that. Daniel, stop using this light. Stop making fun of LEDs. Whatever you want to say, let me know so I know what to move forward in 2018. We have a lot of good stuff planned for you guys. Oh, when we were on Photo Brigade. So if you want to watch me awkwardly answer questions, you can go on Photo Brigade's Facebook, and then Seth is also there. Not awkward, but there's a lot of blood. And Film Forum. Check out Dave and Fernando, who you always hear me yell at, but you don't hardly see them. They have a brand new show on Adorama TV about filmmaking called Film Forum, and they shot it right near my house, even though I wasn't there. So they didn't even come by. They totally blew me off. What?
3 o'clock Eastern.
3 o'clock Eastern time, yes. We're in New York City, the greatest city in the world. We just talking about. Sorry, I had to do Seth. That was my impersonation of Seth. You do it better though, because you have fashion.
Because it's true.
Yeah, it's not bad. Do you like New York? Where are you from, Sydney?
I'm from New York.
You're from New York. You like it here? Are you from Brooklyn?
I'm from Harlem.
From well, okay. See that. That's some real deal right there. Dave's from Harlem.
It's from Miami.
He's not from Harlem. He lives in Harlem.
Oh, wow.
Keep this one.
She's like, he's not from Harlem. He just lives in Harlem.
But also mentioning she looks
That's the
warmer on the shot in this.
Yeah, 100%. She definitely looks warmer in the from the photo shot than she does on the screen of the monitor, and that's because again we didn't match it exactly perfectly. Although Dave's getting really close. If you needed it to be exact or whatever, again you can film and then drop it in. That's how you do that. That's basically it. I mean, you could do a lot of things here, just so you know that I'm not doing it because it's not part of this project. But I'll just talk about it quickly. If we wanted more of the stuff, like it also says Canon at the top, or maybe it says, I don't know what it says on this camera. Maybe it says nothing really interesting on the side. But let's say there's something here that you wanted to showcase. It said 4K or whatever is cool. You could get multiples of these and light them up, right? You could also, because we're shooting a still life, you could stack. The camera's not moving, so even if she moves, if I need something on the camera lit specifically, I could actually make multiple exposures if necessary. But yeah, you should have at least 2 data lights in your life. They're so good. So that's my favorite thing. They don't give me anything for it. I wish they did. Data light give me stuff. I want those new LEDs. See, there you go. Then I'll use LEDs. If data light gives me the new LEDs. Data, my friend. What time is it in Germany? Is anybody from Germany watching? Can you go talk to Dado and let him know? Because he's in Germany. No?
There's some Poland people.
Poland, it's close. It's not close. It's not that close. It'll be a weekend trip or something. You're not going to want to go all to Germany.
That's really close, dude.
If you ever just want to see Dave just focus on something, this is like the show. We're just going to sit here for the next 2 hours. But you know what though? Like here, we're teaching a class, so I'm kind of going through it quickly. But yeah, if this is a job, I mean, we have all day to do it. So experiment. Get the shot that you want to get as quickly as possible. Make sure they okay it. Shoot it a few times. Make backups of everything. Then play around, right? If you get something extra, that might be something else they want to use. And since we're talking advertising here, you know, they paid you for this shot. You're not going to get an extra day rate, but if they run it 2 years instead of 1 year because they got 2 pictures out of it, then they're going to pay you more for the usage. So, you know, it's worth getting extra stuff if you can. We already have the model here. Any questions before we wrap? I feel like we went really fast. We're so fast today because it's the end of the year. No? All right, guys. We're going to cut off. You'll have to assume that it came out good. Online. 3 o'clock. Oh, they can't see me. They're probably looking at a silhouette.
Sorry, Dave.
Oh, sorry. Give it a second. So at 3 o'clock, we're gonna do another one of these on Facebook. So yeah, if you guys are gonna stay, you can come back at 3 o'clock. Go have lunch. There's a Kellogg's pop-up store over in Union Square. I know. You know, there's cereal and peanut butter and milk. It's worth it. Check it out. Yeah. So that's. I don't know. They say he said it was permanent. I don't trust him.
We're asking the model.
Oh, sure. This is a Datalight DL. What is it?
DLHM4.
This is the DLHM4-300U. Yeah, these are great. So definitely use these.
DLH4 is the one with the inline.
Yeah, DLH4 doesn't have the thing. That's complicated. At 3 o'clock, though, we're going to be live on Facebook. So if you guys want to see us do this again differently, we're going to shoot, I think, an Instax camera. Right? That's what we decided. So that should be fun. That's going to be goofy and colorful and fun, and Cindy's going to dance around like a fool.
No.
Not a fool. And thanks, guys. Thanks for watching.